Hail and welcome to the Black Tower. I am your host, your guide, your brother, the sorcerer Armanasu. Now, as promised, the urilia text, the Book of the Worm. Let us talk about our second journey. In the first of our journey, we worked and walked the seven gates. We worked and dealt and delved and totally acclimated ourselves to the elder gods. Now, the Necronomicon says that the three great watchers are Anu, Enki, and Lil. Now, the symbol that should be representative of the first half of the Necronomicon concerning the elder gods and walking the ladder of lights is the aura, just the regular 5-point star. There are three gods. They are the masculine. They are the trinity of males, as Anu, Enki, and Lil. Now, what does that got to do with anything? Allow me to get to the meat and potatoes of this. This took me a long time between notes and just study, research, and just what I do as a sorcerer with communicating with certain spirits, so forth and so on. Putting this together, I wanted so bad to make sure that it wouldn't confuse, that it would be easy to follow, and that you, the viewer, could keep up with me, could understand what I was saying, because it's really hard with arcane mysteries and arcane words and phrases and things like that to explain or to express. With that in mind, let us get on with the motherfucking show. Okay, so check it. Now, you will have noticed that after the sixth gate, you are to cross Ganzir. You are to descend into Ganzir. And it says that the sign or the seal of Ganzir is a broken star. Well, now, I have heard a lot of practitioners give their description of a broken star and how they would do it. Well, I can only thank my Satanist of a brother for somewhere around 18 years ago, showing me what a broken star looked like. You take a regular 5-point star, and from the top point down the center, break it in half. Slide the sides over so that there's a gap between. This is the seal of Ganzir. Now, what's so important about this? Do you know why there are two halves? Because Ganzir is in two parts. Now, this will be a long series of videos, but tonight I'm going to go over the basics of it with you. I'm going to try and break forth a few words and a few terms and try to educate you on the beginning of it. And educate you might be a bad word, but it's a word I'm going to use. Whoa! Love me some arcane shit. Okay, so check it. All right, so if the star is broken half, you can imagine that it pushes open or pulls open, whichever way you want to think of it as. This is correct. Now, certain arcane meanings are found in symbols. When you see a broken star, it usually represents a broken covenant or anything like that. According to the Necronomicon, that's a damn tight way of looking at it. That might be how you're supposed to look at it. But we're not breaking any covenants. Now, the Necronomicon says not to do it, but it's there, and it's in pieces. And yet we also know that if it says that there are other demons to defeat and to overcome, that means we got to go there. That means we have to go there. Okay? So let's back it up a step or two, because I'm not trying to get carried away with being funny on here, but I do want to educate and have a sense of humor at the same time. So forgive me about the way I do this. All right, so check it. Now, the seal is a broken star, so it's two halves. It represents the two parts of Ganzir. Now, this might be a little bit over your head, but try to keep up with me. It's not like, well, the right side is this part and the left side's that part. Please don't just leave it simple in your head. It doesn't matter which side's which. It really doesn't. Just one half of the star represents the great below, the abyss, the depths for which you will pass. Now, There is a sea there known as Nar Mataru. Nar Mataru is the Great Seas. That's what it's called, because it's the first of the descent into Ganzir that you will go. That means it's at the shallow end. Now, if you think of an ocean, you know as well as I do, there is no such thing as fucking shallow. Well, that's good that you know that. But let us imagine that the great seas of Nar Mataru are not necessarily shallow. They're quite deep. However, there's a depth even below them, and I'll get to that in a minute. Now, in Nar Mataru, in the Great Seas, what you have is a realm of the undead. Okay? Now, the undead by this mean dead gods, the living who have passed and died. It is the cast-off, the place of shells. I've done a video on this, but I'm going to slightly touch in on it. Now, the only way to reach this place is to have ascended the ladder of lights in ritual. Now, the funny thing is that when you come out of Ganzir, out of the first half of Ganzir, what you're going to find is that all these gate walkings have cleansed and purified you. Then it's on Saturn. Now in Saturn, you declare yourself a resurrecting god. Okay, and here's what I mean by that. Inanna descended and was resurrected and escaped and fled. Okay, Osiris died, was resurrected. Jesus of the Christian's Bible died and on the third day rose. Well, now you get the idea of what a resurrecting God is. If you have walked the gates and you have entered into Ganzir and you have crossed the abyss, and only you, like I said in that last video about Ganzir, only you will know if you've truly actually crossed it, if you've actually crossed the abyss. But if you do, when you enter into Saturn, you can declare yourself, because Saturn is the planet of law, well, of order, but it's of a spiritual law, not like Jupiter rules over law and judicial stuff. But Saturn is a different kind of law. It's limiting. It represents the circle. Okay? It constricts, it holds, it binds. It shows the finiteness of something. Its beginning and its ending. Well, that's neither here nor there, because I'm not going to go totally into Saturn. Now, if you've been reading Gates of the Necronomicon, and you've been reading the Simon Necronomicon and the Book of Dead Names, or whatever else you want to look at, you will learn that there are 7 steps on the Big Dipper, and that the stars, as I've said, represent the actual gods. You're not actually calling upon the planets themselves, you're calling upon the gods over those planets. Well, this is great. Do you know what's right past Saturn? Polaris, the North Star. That is your jumping off point. Saturn is the jumping off point. Now, you must leave Saturn. Now, when you've walked Saturn and you've received the power word or the name or whatever that you're given, you need it to cross the second half of Ganzir, which is found in Polaris, the North Star. Here's why. Polaris is seen as the eye of Tiamat. Not only is it the eye of Tiamat, because if you will remember correctly, Saturn lies beyond the abyss. Okay? So if you can think of the 7 planets in our constellation, you need to understand that after you have gone so far, that there is a space beyond our planets. And I'm not talking about Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. I'm talking about a place where the constellations abide. Okay? So now if you're still following me, there's a gap beyond Saturn. Like there was between Jupiter and Saturn, there was a space, an abyss, a gulf. Beyond Saturn, there's another one. And it is the jumping off point. But instead of like Ganzir, where you had to cross the abyss, you've already crossed the abyss if you've reached Saturn. Now from Saturn, it's just a matter of creating the seal of the gate. It is a broken star, like I told at the beginning of this video. And all you have to do is, and where I got the numbers and the math for all this particular aspect, Whereas when you were walking Ganzir as the abyss is Narmataru, the great seas, what you had to do was you had to descend 7 steps. Well, this one, yeah, no, you don't have to, because it does represent Bina, whose number is 3, whose triangle is the sacred symbol. So with this in mind, like I said, it took a lot of occult knowledge to piece every single bit of this together. And working with the spirits and studying and actually practicing this and actually, having a sound knowledge of magic in general and of the system. But anyway, let's not get too carried away. So the broken star is also still for the gate of Ganzir in Polaris. Now, in Polaris, you're going to become aware that your system changes, okay? Whereas you had the 3 great watchers, the 3 great gods, Anu, Enki, and Lil, here you have 3 queens, 3 dark goddesses. And they are Nin Karsag, Nin Kazi, and Nin Gazita. Now, I know you've heard Nin Gazita because you remember the guardian who was also called Neti, and so forth and so on, in the descent. Nin Gazita is a goddess, is a dark queen, a horned queen, because they're all horned. These 3. Now, these 3 will be equivalent to what Anu, Enki, and Enlil was. Now, what's so important about that? In all of life, there is a balance. There is a masculine, there is a feminine. Well, if you had to think about it, the 3 gods that ruled over the consciousness, or the light, or the order, was Anu, Enki, and Enlil. I have said from the beginning, this is the weirdest workings I've ever seen in my life, because you start from light and go right off into darkness. Now, the reasoning and the purpose behind all that, I'm not going to go into, but I will tell you this much concerning this aspect of what I'm trying to go over. There is a balance, and these 3 dark queens, or goddesses, are symbolic of the goddesses, or the powers over the subconscious. Well, how do you figure that masculine is light and feminine is dark? Well, that's kind of easy. That is really easy. See, dark absorbs, holds, and when it does, it is considered feminine. Light is bright and expansive. It's moving. Hence it's masculine. With this in mind, we will approach these 3 with great reverence and respect. Now, at this point, you will need to make what is known as the Dur of Ender, which the description says it is a brand new bowl with a crack in it. So go to your dollar store, your Dollar Tree, go to Walmart, go wherever you buy one. Buy you a stone bowl, crack it however way you have to, however many times it takes you to keep from shattering the bowl. But this is called the Bowl of the Sages, of the Lost Sages, or something like that. It was a real weird term for it. However, let's not get carried away in that. Now, the interesting thing is that when working with the elder gods, you were introduced to Enki, master of magicians, and then you were introduced to his son Marduk, who was the champion, the victor. Well, now this is very interesting, but check this. Even in the great depths, there is the equivalent of Enki, and there is a dark champion equivalent to Marduk. And to try and keep it simple, the one that is equated to Enki, give me 1 second here, Enkidu. Now, came from the house of the waters of life, Na Mataru. Namtar is equivalent to Marduk. Now, the really cool thing about Namtar, chief of the magicians, if you've read the Urilia text, if you've read the Magan text, a really cool thing about Namtar is that, like Marduk being the champion of the gods, Namtar is chief of the magicians in Ganzir. Now, the workings of the urilia are actually quite strange because it's not in order. Simon made certain that it was not as clear and put out there and concise as the 7 steps. The reasons why, we could probably just go on and on about why, but my own particular understanding and knowledge of this sort of thing is because, well, I can't say for Simon's reason, but when I say that this book is not for everybody, it is seriously not for everybody. This is a book of the adept. Seriously, hands down, 100%, all the way around. If you're not in this for life, if you're not in this for the full haul, for the full run of it, set this thing down. Pick up your spell book of 50 names, draw the sigil of Marduk on the back of it, and put the seal of the spirit of Marduk, of Jupiter, that you're wanting to speak with. But for those of you who are interested in this, I will try my best not to disappoint and not to fail you. I will try my best to explain in detail the workings involved, how it's done, when it's done, so forth and so on. But getting back to what I was saying, though, you need the dur of Ender to create this. You need a brand new bowl. I would suggest a stone bowl. It's very simple and very easy. Now, hopefully you can go online and you can find a sigil generator, which I did. I used a Chaos Tarot sigil generator online. I don't know the address, but it's just Chaos Sigil Generator. That's all I know. And it'll say Chaos Tarot or something like that. But it's a sigil generator. Make sure you click on, make sure that you pay attention and make sure that you have it. You have the boxes cleared for no vowels and no repeat letters, because you want those boxes open. And make sure it says 3 by 3, 1 to 9. Now, the coloring doesn't matter or anything like that. You can change color if you want to. If you want to download it and save it and whatever else, doesn't matter. But what you do is you take the names of the 3 queens, the 3 goddesses. Ninkasag, Ninkaza, Ningazida. And you create their sigils. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to show you mine. There's 2 of them. And there's 1 of them. Now, I know that was a notebook and it looks real cheesy, but hey, it works, right? So what you want to do is you want to put the seals of the 3 queens around it. On the very bottom of it, you can come up with a sigil, anything you want that represents Tiamat, because this is the bowl of Tiamat, okay? Now, I personally don't have anything in particular for that, because I know in my heart and in my mind whose bowl that is, and it's like when you make the Agamaserati. Ooh, I know that's the bowl of the Watcher. I know it. Although I got the 3 seals of Anu, Enki, and Lil on it. I know whose bowl it is, and that's cool. Well, with that in mind, let me explain to you about the 2 triangles. You have the right side up triangle, representing the 3 gods. You have the downright triangle, representing the 3 goddesses. When you put them together, you have the hexagon, 6-point star. Now, what's so important about this is that when you combine them, when you put them together, it represents the gods and goddesses made one within the adept, within the priest, within the sorcerer, whatever word you use to call it. Now, with that in mind, now, there are instructions in it about the herbs you're supposed to burn. I have a really good friend that did the research on it. Priest of the Necro from Lamadou Dingir on YouTube. It's peony. So get you some peony. Build a small fire in it. And then there's a conjuration. There is a conjuration for when you're going to consecrate it. Now, it talks about the time and the hour and the day and the month and all this other stuff of Tiamat. When the great bear hangs from its tail, this is in the wintertime. December is the middle of the winter months. Now, on the dark of the moon in December, what you want to do is you want to, before midnight of the night of the dark of the moon, what you want to do is have your bowl already drawn and created and everything else, and you want to have the herb that you're going to burn in it before this conjuration. And when the hour comes time for actually consecrating it, you have to wait till the hour. And when you do, and it's the first hour. So, like, let's think of this as, let's say it's 11 o'clock at night. Get all your stuff together, get it ready. Now, the circle. How do you do the circle? You do the circle the same way that you would have done for any of your gate walkings with the elder gods. It's that simple. Your double circle of flour, everything in the same place. You still call the fire god. You still call your watcher. You still call forth the 4 quarters. And this is important because this is the order. And this order by now should already be, built up within you. You should understand the importance of order and why it's got to be there. Now, then, after you've done all the preliminary ritual, getting the circle cast, callings, and everything else, then you're going to build a fire. And you are going to summon is it the Pyrrhic or the Pyrrhic of Ged? Well, that's kind of simple. Gabil. So, Gishbar Ba Gabil. So, the god of fire. Okay? So, you want to build a fire in the Dur of Endur, Peony. And when you've lit it and you've started it, you want to have a candle or something, some small fire to represent Gabil, and you want to conjure Gabil in this process. And when you do, turn to page 108 of your handy-dandy Simon Necronomicon paperback edition. It's awesome. But on page 108, it says the conjuration of Ia, Adu, and E, a great mystical conjuration. This is how you consecrate the Dur of Endur. You would say the whole thing, and it goes over to page 109. So 108 to 109, you would give this conjuration. Now this consecrates it. Now what is the Dur of Endur for? It says in urilia, summon demons and the dead, and okay. Well, if you want to work in the lower Ganzir, Narmataru, you can use the Dur of Endur for that, because you're going to need it. You can't use the Agamos for that, because it's not the shattered bowl. It's not the bowl that represents the dead. But the Dur of Endur does. It's a bowl of Tiamat. Now, once you have done this, and you have drawn out the sill of the gate below you, you will rise. You will walk 3 times around the broken star, and you will feel yourself as you collapse projecting. This is one time where you're not waiting on the star to pull you, you jump. I don't mean physically jump. I'm talking about when you go to fall upon the ground, shoot your spirit out of your body, your soul, your whatever, your astral, whatever. I don't know the word for it. I know how to do it, but I have no idea what you call it. Not really. But you project yourself before the gate, before the star. Now, when you do this, you're going to see before you the seal that you've cast, the broken star. And it is at this time you will call upon the 3. Give me 1 minute here, because I got this all wrote down. Oh, but anyway. Anyway, at this point, when you come before them, when you come before the gate, Nin Gazida will approach you. That same plumed serpent. And if he doesn't, give his calling, his conjuration. Give her calling. I don't remember exactly where it is in the book, but in one of my videos I did, I do believe I told where it was, or if you'll bear with me, I know this is ridiculous. I'm doing a video and trying to remember where everything is, but the thing is that, oh, it's in the Magan text. That's where it is. I can't believe my brains went dead for a second there. Of course, if you had as much running through your head, yeah, yours might be out there too. Oh yeah, I bet it's at the back of the Magan text. That's right, because it says if you ever have need to call, you know what might make it easier. Anyway, in the Magan text, it gives the general calling of Ningazita. I'm still looking to see if I can find it. Page 168. Ningazida, serpent of the deep. Ningizida, horned serpent of the deep. Ningazida, plumed serpent of the deep. Open the door that I may enter. And it goes all the way down to where it says, Spirit of the deep, watcher of the gate, open. By the name or power word given to me on Saturn, and then give your password. At this point, Ningazita will disappear through the gate, and you will wait until you feel the sensation of being pulled through the gate. And that's how you know it's been accepted. That's how you know you've been accepted. I can express how important it is to keep your mind clear and your intentions pure. You expect nothing but hope for the best. Go with that. And when you step through, Ningazita will be there to show you around. Now, Ningazita, in this particular area, this part of Ganzir is known as Marutuk. Now, in Marutuk is the sea below the seas, below the great seas. It is the muddied water. It's the greatest depths. It's the ocean bottom, for lack of better words. So whereas before the water was less muddied, this is really muddy water here. This is something else you've gone further and further into your subconscious. This is the realm of the ancient ones. Now, in my own particular writings, this is book 2. This is the book of the ancient ones. The first book, the first part, which Simon expressed clearly, is the book of the elder gods. Then you have the book of the ancients, according to me. And this is the book of the ancients, and this involves their offspring and the children. Now, it is here that Ningazita will show you the 12 zodiacs. Now, what's so important about the zodiacs? Well, they're constellations, and they lie outside. They are the Azani. Whereas you walk the Zonai, this is now the Azani. And Ningazita will show you around. Show you this realm. This realm is known as Kuthuleth. It is the black plains of the Agigi. It is the black earth. This is the entrance. This is the way. This is how you enter onto the black earth. I have, for years, tried to express in words and writing how you do these workings, and this is my attempt at trying that. Well, it is here that Ningazita will show you around. This is the cosmic order that is outside of time. Okay, this is the these are the forces and powers that influence your subconscious, the parts that we're unaware of. It's the parts that when we were born of the stuff of the stars, these are the constellations that those parts came from. So when they said that they're casting your sign and they're telling you your fate and everything else and in astrology, well, this is the ritual workings of it. This is how you do it from a Necronomicon standpoint. Okay? Now it is here that you're going to spend a month per gate, and there are 12 of them. Now, it starts with Aries, and Aries is the middle of March. So, though the dark of the moon in December is when you do this entrance, it won't be until March that you actually walk your first gate of an Azanai. With that in mind, this is the beginning. Make for certain that when you walk this gate, when you first consecrated the Dur of Endor, when you first done this, make for certain that you spend less than 45 minutes here. 35 to 40 minutes physical time is more than enough. You need to get in. Don't be in a rush. If you have to, set an alarm outside your circle or inside the circle with you so that in case you got carried away or whatever, you know to come out. Now, how do you come out? Thank Ningazita for showing you what Ningazita showed you and for inviting you into this realm. And when you have thanked Ningazita, you will feel yourself drawn back to your body through the gate that you came in, and you will fall back down to your body. And when you do, you get up, thank the spirits, the watcher, fire god, the whole 9 yards. Oh, most important thing, when you are working in Ganzir, when you are working any of these, there is something called the exorcism of the crown of Anu. I cannot stress enough that if you are doing these workings, if you have crossed the gate, if you have crossed the threshold of the Eye of Tiamat into the Ganzir, into Marupuk, I cannot stress enough how important it is that when you leave out, find the banishing or the exorcism called the crown of Anu. Now, in this, you would have the crown with the 8 rays on it. So have that in your, well, you should have all your gear on before you do all this. But the thing is face east. The posture of Shamash, which is arms raised above you like you're holding a golden orb above you. And just feel it and see it as strongly as possible while facing east, this golden spear above your head. And recite the exorcism of the crown of Anu. You must do this because no matter what you think, whenever you enter into Ganzir, into any part of it, you are entering down into your subconscious. You do not need to bring the garbage, the shit, the monsters, the devils. You do not need to bring them out. Do you remember in the first half of Ganzir, we crossed it, and Inanna came out and said that the dead came before her and behind her? This cannot be said enough. If you can picture that, then you can understand just how important this is. Okay? You're diving off into really dirty water, you would shower off afterwards. You know what I mean? Although normal people wouldn't just go decide, no, I'm going to go swim in mud. No, they wouldn't unless they're in the mud baths, but that's neither here nor there. But the thing is that you would wash it off. Well, the way that you do this is by assuming the posture of Shamash, visualizing the golden orb above your head, and a brilliant golden light covering over your body. Because you know how it says to keep certain seals and stuff out of the sunlight, that Shamash and his jealousy will rob it of its power? We're going to use that. We are going to use that to our advantage. That is how you cleanse and purify yourself. After you have done this, it is a very good idea to do the Anu Shub Amgig Apsu Kish Agigi Karshagdi Sisi Amarada Ya, better known as the cleansing of the temple, the thing you give with the bread and the salt. I cannot express enough how important that is. The reason why is because it's not enough just to cleanse yourself. You must also cleanse your temple, your workspace, because things come through. You must banish them. You must destroy them. Okay? Working with the elder gods, you learned humility, servitude, all the righteous qualities of Marduk. It is in this realm that you will learn authority to command. Now, as I've been doing these videos, I'm very down to earth and I'm very humble. I am by nature. Yet at the same time, I'm very firm. I'm firm with my convictions. I'm firm with my actions. I'm firm with myself. Self-control is the greatest form of control. Now, this, in a sense, gives you what they call authority, divine authority, the authority to command, to rule, that your words be law. With this in mind, these workings will grant you this so-called dark aspect of just force and form. Notice how that's differed just a bit? In the light, we were taught humility, and we were taught passivity, for lack of better words. Not really passive, but you get my drift. Well, anybody that knows anything about the tree of life knows that there's two pillars, twin pillars on the outside. Mercy and severity. Now, this is why I had to study every form of ritual magic, high magic, low magic, shamanism, any of this. This is why I had to learn these things. Otherwise, I could not explain this to you in English to where you would understand it, to where you could work with it. In the light, in the elder gods, with the aura by itself representing that force of those 7 powers, you are taught mercy through all those gods, most especially in Nana and Shamash. Okay, that's the masculine and feminine, but that is the true mercy there on that aspect. Now you are delving into the pillar of severity. Now, some of you might go and try to figure it out and look it up online and find the tree of life and be like, well, that don't make any sense. It does if you're not looking at it in a completely literal sense. You have to realize that it's all subjective at best. But this is the only way to describe it, and this is the only way to understand it, is that not only if you are into Kabbalah and into Jewish mysticism, not only do you realize that you are the tree and assume the body of Adam, Cadman, and Kether is all of a sudden the crown of eternity, which is really cool, by the way. Y'all need to study up on that if you really just want to read something really cool. Israel Regardie. Anything by Israel Regardie? Dude's got it. He knows exactly what he's talking about, and I actually trust his works because he comes from a psychologist's point of view and a ritual practitioner's point of view, so he understands what can happen, the good and the bad of it. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So, what you do is, when you're working through this, you've got to cleanse, purify. Enough cannot be said about that. There are not enough warnings. Now, the warning to tell you not to do something or that this breaks the covenant, oh, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that. This video is not for you then. But if you truly seek to do what the book is telling you to do, by telling you not to do it, which is really weird because it's kind of like a child. You tell a child not to do something, they're going to do it. That's kind of reverse psychology. That is Freudian as hell. Simon did the same thing. And here's the thing, except he told you not to do something because you're supposed to, hence there are things to overcome, demons to face, and this is how you face demons. You'll never face demons in the light, never, because that's not their territory, that's not their realm. Now here's the funny thing, I know this video is really long, but most of these videos concerning Ganzir will be. With this in mind, what you've got to understand is that in Ganzir, you are in the subconscious of yourself. You're aware you are a product of your raising, you are a product of nurture, you're a product of your environment, you're a product of your social upbringing, so forth and so on. And it will affect everything. And it has taken seed, and it has taken root, and it has formed trees. And in this sense, this is equated to the tree of the klapothic tree, the tree of death. And I won't get into that because that's just way too much out there to do right at this moment. But what you have to realize, you have to cleanse the subconscious. You have to. The subconscious is where you've been programmed your whole life for everything. If this is the path for you, if this is what you're going to do, this is how you do it. Okay? Well, I've taken up over 40 minutes here. I wish each and every single one of you peace and blessings. Love and mercy of the gods. Power and victory in the demons that we are and our shadow self. And one last thing that I'd like to leave for you is concerning the watcher. Your watcher, the watcher, I will do a whole nother video on, but the watcher remains with you. The Aga Maseratu, you still give offerings to your watcher, just like you're supposed to, at least once a month. Okay? Keep your watcher with you. And do not destroy the Aga Maseratu trying to make the Durabindur out of it. Don't do that. Because the Aga Maseratu was the vessel by which you swore the covenants of the Watcher, Enki, Fire God, and Enlil. It is also the one by which you swore any and all covenants when you walk the gates. You do not want to break that. If it's an accident, you accidentally drop it, pretty sure the gods will forgive you. Just build another one and let them know and just, redo your offerings and everything. If you've already done it because you thought that that's what to do, there are prayers that you can give, that you can make up on your own to ask for forgiveness. The prayer to the Afkalu, where it says, Napar Eridu Kula, Keshlagashira Paxela, day of living rising sun, day of plenty gracious sun, day of fortune brilliant light, day of whatever, golden night, I don't know, something like that. When it comes to the part, what God have I offended? What goddess have I offended? What sacrifice have I failed to make? When I said that prayer makes everything right, it does. So if you've done something you shouldn't have done, you can correct it by using that prayer towards the elder gods, towards the gods that you've sworn covenants to, towards any pacts you've made, anything like that, but now it sets it correct. It sets it right. Okay? So from that point on, if you've made any pacts or agreements, you're going to have to stick with them. You're going to have to keep doing them. So if you offered blood or incense or spit or semen or whatever your offerings or I don't know, whatever you could offer them, you have to stick by them. But that prayer does set it right to where those spirits are then friendly to you. Because as it says, may the heart of the God I do not know return to its place for me. May the goddess I do not know return to its place for me. Like I said, it sets it right. So with that in mind, keep doing your thing and just keep rocking it. Till next time.